In studio, as promised, we have one of my favorite people on earth, the man with a golden voice, our Detroit Lakes representative, the Barry White of real estate, Mr. Scott Fergen. So good morning, Scott.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, Erik. How are you?
God, how is that for a radio voice? Oh, you make me so happy when you talk, Scott. It's the absolute best. I'm doing fantastic. You, my friend, have been crushing it in the Lakes area.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you've been with Hatch Realty for about 15 months, but you had a career in sales and service before that. So what were you doing before you got into real estate, Scott?
I worked for a large company, General Electric, for well over 20 years.
Wow.
Had a lot of time with them, traveled throughout North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and including the lake area, even back then.
And you've been a lake guy your entire life, right, Scott? Like you kind of grew up there, and you're a native of Moorhead, though, aren't you?
Native of Moorhead, but I always had a place to go at the lake.
And now that's your full-time gig.
Full-time gig, living there full-time, year-round on beautiful downtown Lake Eunice.
Downtown Lake Eunice, a lot of gangs?
Yeah. Yes, there is a gang or two. I think I'm the head of one.
Yeah, it's called the Pink Squirrels. They're really tough. Scott, it's fantastic to know that you have a lifetime of knowledge about lakes and the Detroit Lakes area in general. Tell me about, you're on Eunice. Tell me about Eunice. What are the features of the lake that you get to call home?
The lake I'm on is a relatively small lake, but it's extremely clean and clear, and it's got a lot of sandy beach, which is actually one of the first questions I get asked every time somebody calls and inquires about any kind of a lake place. What's the beach like? That's probably the second question. The first question is, how far is it from Fargo?
Okay, yeah.
But Lake Eunice is just a gorgeous, I think it's 350 acres. Like I said, very clean, very clear, probably 30, 35 feet deep at the deepest, and it does have some pan fishing going on.
Oh, boy. Sunfish, crappies.
Wintertime and summertime, yeah. Not a lot of walleyes, but there are some panfish and some northern.
And you said there are people still out on the lake fishing, right? There's still a couple feet of ice in most places.
Yeah, I think the thickest that I saw it this year was about 3 feet thick, and that was just 3 weeks ago. I think it's probably slimmed down a little bit because I don't see anybody driving trucks or cars out there anymore. But they're driving their ATVs and they're getting out there and they're putting up little tents and they're still doing a lot of fishing.
You are not going to catch me out on that ice because I'm not slim and because I don't weigh as much as a truck or an ATV, but god dang it.
I think you're safe.
Thank you. Yeah. I will take your word for it and just stay back here in Fargo. So the first question people ask you, Scott, is how close is it to Fargo, right?
Yes.
The lake matters.
Yep.
The second question people ask is about the beach. What else are people wanting when it comes to lake property?
The third question probably would be how level is the lot? A lot of people don't like that walk from, or maybe even taking steps down to the beach. So those are the first three questions. How level is it? How close is it to Fargo? And what's the beach like? Everybody wants to buy a lake place that they can swim at.
Yeah. It matters not only to put your boat there, but to be able to put your bodies there easily, right? And,
True. Yeah, very true.
I tell you, when my wife and I talk about it, the level lot really matters because we have a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old. And if we're not watching for a second, gravity could take its toll, and I would have some splaining to do.
Yeah, yeah, you might.
Oh, boy. So, Scott, I love that we're having you in studio with us and that you're a part of our Hatch Realty family. What are you seeing out there from buyers and sellers right now? Is it a buyer's market in the Lakes country? Is it a seller's market? What are we experiencing?
Right now, it's somewhat slow, just because this is the time of the year it is where, you're probably looking at just a little bit of activity going on down there because you can't really see, because of the snow and so forth,
Yep.
You can't see what the lots look like. And that very important beach, it's going to be another month anyway before people can actually get out and the buyers can get out and see what that beach looks like.
So we're crescendoing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But it's building up. I'm seeing more activity as of March. March is the first month that things pick up. And just the first part of March, yeah, we've had a bunch of inquiries about what's going on at the lake. What does this lot look like? What does this place look like? And I've actually showed a bunch of places where you can see the entire lot and the home.
Nice. Scott, that's certainly on the buy side. I think that the great surprise, the great gift that we've been able to give our clients in the Lakes community is the level of service and professionalism and marketing that we're bringing to the table as a partnership. What we know best is we know how to market homes, we know how to service well, and then we have a guy, as the person who knows Lakes Country, who knows how to service really well, and who knows how to connect them to the right things. And what we're finding, Scott, is we're finding that our clients, maybe if they've been listed with another brokerage previously, or if they have a bad taste in their mouth of what realtors are or are going to be, are delightfully surprised when they get you in their door. Isn't that right?
That's true. Many of the different listings that we've come up with have been listed before, and many of the listings have sat on the market for quite some time.
Oh, that's got to be painful, isn't it?
Yeah, if you want to ask one of those clients, yeah, it's been painful for them. Some of those listings we've actually taken over and sold them within a couple 2-3 weeks. So that's been kind of a record for me and kind of an accomplishment for Hatch Realty.
Well, we're so thrilled to have you serving our Lakes Country clients. We're going to actually talk to one of those clients here after the break. We're going to get her on the horn here, and I'm excited to learn about the process and how it was for her. The great thing, though, Scott, is because of our presence in Detroit Lakes and in Minneapolis, if somebody's smart enough to list their home with us, it shows up in Fargo, shows up in Detroit Lakes, and shows up all the way down to Minneapolis. So we're getting eyes of every potential buyer in the area. Scott, stick around. Let's have your golden voice continue to tickle our ears. But in the meantime, folks, head to livefargomoorhead.com. This is Real Estate Radio with Erik Hatch. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio. As always, I'm your host, Erik Hatch, and in studio with us, we still have from Detroit Lakes, our Hatch Realty representative, Scott Fergen, and on the line, we have Gina Kozlowski. I think am I butchering that, Gina, or did I do okay?
Kozlowski's good. Yep, that's right.
Perfect. My Norwegian nasally voice is having a hard time enunciating today, but thank you so much for being on air with us. Gina, you were a client of ours, and you worked with Scott to sell your home. Is that right?
It is, yes.
Perfect. And you had your home listed with other realtors before you listed with Hatch Realty. Do you know how long you had the house on the market?
Well, it's a couple months with one and about 6 months with another.
So 8 or 9 months in total having your house on the market before you listed with Hatch Realty. What was that stress like in your life?
Well, it was awful because we didn't have any correspondence at all with either one of the other realty companies that we chose. The first one, they came and talked a big game, and then had a sign and said, let's sell a house. And we said, great. And they didn't take any pictures or anything. And we thought, well, something was a little off. And then we got a phone call and they said, oh, we forgot to take pictures. We're on vacation for the next 3 weeks. Can you take some pictures and send them off? And that's just kind of how our first experience went. And we dealt with that kind of behavior for only a couple of months before we got really irritated and terminated because we just couldn't deal with the stress of not having somebody that was really going to be in our corner with us doing what they promised they were going to do.
I get that. And then the second time you listed wasn't with Scott and with Hatch Realty. It was with another company. What was that experience like?
That one was kind of very similar. It was very stressful. We had someone come in and again, they talked a big game and they said, this is what we're going to do. And they did take some pictures, but the pictures were, you could tell that they really weren't interested in being there. We were just kind of second fiddle. We didn't fit into their schedule, and they kind of made it known. And then they went on a trip. And so we were just kind of sitting back and forth, and showings were there, but they weren't really proactive showings. It was just if we can get them in, we'll get them in there. And it was just really irritating for us. And so we ultimately ended up terminating that contract too before our time was up because they just were not showing that they were going to be in our corner, and they were not aggressive in knowing that we really had a goal and a reason as to why we wanted to sell our house.
And would you mind sharing again, Gina, somebody who has gone through the gamut? Would you mind sharing with our listening audience why it is you wanted to sell your house and what you were planning on doing with the proceeds?
We are adopting. We are building our family, and we are growing, and we really needed to sell our home so we could do that, and they just didn't get it.
Adoption's expensive, isn't it?
It is. It is very expensive, yes.
Yeah, well, I want to say on behalf of Scott and myself and our Hatch Realty family, thank you for having that giving heart to take in kids that need great love and family and opportunity. That is a gift that transforms more lives than you know. So thank you for that. And I want to fast forward now. Scott, how did you come into the picture with Gina?
I think Gina and I got together in October of last year and just kind of sat down and did kind of what we call a pre-list and talked about what we could do with her home. And we both decided that it was a good idea to wait till the renter got out of there. Isn't that right, Gina?
Yep.
And then he got out in December. We listed in December, went through a bunch of showings, and I think in January we sold the house, didn't we?
Yeah.
We closed.
It was less than a week, actually. That,
So what other people, Gina, what other people couldn't do in a 9-month period and summer, Scott was able to jump in and got your place sold within a week.
Yeah. Yep. Because the pictures were taken on Monday. It listed Tuesday morning, and we had showings in 2 hours after being listed. And on Friday, we actually had talk of an offer, and that offer came in on Saturday.
Wow. And did you get the money that you needed out of the property?
We did. We actually got more.
Say that again.
Awesome.
That's a sexy word there, Gina. Say that again.
We actually got more.
Oh,
the offer came in more than what we actually listed for. So it was amazing and a miracle, and we couldn't have asked for anything better.
Do you remember we actually had local realtors tell us that we were too high?
Yeah. They did. The realtors that we had tried to work with before, actually, they came in and said, "There's no way we're going to sell this." They're just because they were irritated that we let them go, and then we went in and tried it again with somebody else.
So let me ask this question, Gina. What was different about this experience with Scott and Hatch Realty that you didn't have with those other representatives?
Scott listened. He understood from the very beginning what our goals were, and he really pushed us. He knew we were uncomfortable. He knew that we were scared. We were already burned twice. We had people promise us the world, and when that happens to you, not once, but twice, you really think, yeah, okay, they're really not in it for us, they're in it for them. And when we sat down, it was, well, what is your goal? What do you guys think? Where are you? I mean, he asked us all the questions that we were going to ask him. This is what we want to do. How can we accomplish this? And before we could even start asking those questions, he was asking those questions. And, he really paid attention to what we needed to do and accomplish. And he really pushed us to go for it and to make our dream a reality. And, and he was available all the time. It was, even when he had to go out of town, we were getting phone calls saying, "Hey, this is the activity that's going on in your house, and I'm not right there right now, but I'm telling you that this means a lot to us, to me, and so this is what we want to make sure that you are getting that." And and it was just amazing. The correspondence, the availability, the putting himself out there. I mean, it was round the clock. It didn't. We knew we could call, text, email, and we were going to have some sort of correspondence or an answer within minutes, really. I mean, there was no reading, there was no anything. I mean, if he couldn't answer the phone, it was a text message right away saying, "On the other line, I'll get back to you in just a few seconds." And it really was. It was unbelievable. He really came through. He came right out of the gate, and he charged with us.
And
it was
he's
awesome.
blushing right now too, Gina, as you continue to rave about Scott. I want to say this: service matters, and Scott, thank you for getting that. Gina, thank you for putting your trust in us as Hatch Realty to get your place sold, to get it moving. I'm so thankful that we were able to do what the last two companies weren't able to do, from marketing to servicing to listening extremely well. All those things matter an awful lot. So Gina, thank you for putting your trust in us. Thank you for being a great servant of this world and adopting and growing your family like that. We are forever indebted to you for the good that you're doing.
Thanks, Gina. I appreciate it very, very much.
Well, thank you very much for everything you did for us.
All right.
We really appreciate it.
Gina, thanks for joining us on Real Estate Radio. Hey, folks, in the meantime, head to livefargomoorhead.com to get connected with Scott or the rest of the Hatch Realty team.